Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome. Let me know in the comments. What city are you watching this from? And hey, if this story popped up for you, it's because it deserves to be heard. So, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more like it. 60 years old, 5 years a widower. A big, empty house that felt more like a cemetery with open doors. My name was John Smith, and since Mary had passed, I lived alone with my horse and cattle here on the lands of Harmony Ranch, out in the sticks of Oklahoma. That March afternoon, the sun was cracking the dry earth as if trying to open wounds in the ground. The heat rose from the red soil in waves that shimmered in the air, making everything seem like a bad dream. I was coming back from work, riding Champ, my bay horse, who knew every curve of that dirt road. His hooves kicked up clouds of dust that stuck to my sweaty skin, mixing with the salt of my sweat and the bitterness of the days. 5 years. 5 years since I buried Mary in the town cemetery. 5 years walking around this ranch like a ghost, just doing what needed to be done to keep from starving, get up before sunrise, feed the cattle, fix fences, eat alone, sleep in silence. Every day the same, each one weighing on my back like a burden I carried without knowing why. The Smith Ranch was well known in the area. 2,000 acres of good land, crossed by Willow Creek, with well-kept pasture and a corral of ironwood that resisted time and termites. My grandfather had arrived here in the 20s, coming from West Virginia with a suitcase and a lot of hope. My father inherited the land and the faith. I only inherited the land. The faith went away with Mary. The big house where we lived was a monument to loneliness. 15 empty rooms, echoing every step I took through the hallways. The bedroom that was ours had become my purgatory. Her side of the bed on the right remained untouched, with the pillow still smelling of the cheap perfume she used to wear. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and reach out, expecting to feel the warmth of her body. I only found the cold of the sheets. The worst was the kitchen. Mary had the habit of humming while she cooked. Always the same song, a tune her mother used to sing, "Little fishy, little fishy, little fishy in the brook." Now, when I went into the kitchen, the silence was so thick it felt like I could touch it. Her stoneware pots were still hanging in the same place, the wooden spoons organized in the little ceramic pot, everything exactly as she'd left it. I didn't change anything because changing it would be accepting that she wouldn't be coming back. In the living room, our wedding picture sat on the coffee table, inside a silver frame she'd gotten from her godmother. I cleaned the glass every week, religiously so it wouldn't get dusty. In the photo, I was 35 years old, a strong man full of dreams. Mary, at 25, smiled at the camera with those small, perfect teeth, her eyes shining with happiness. We were so young, so full of plans. We were going to have children, raise cattle, build an empire in rural Oklahoma. Life had other plans. The closest neighbors lived 15 miles away. Good people, but they'd started to drift away after Mary died. It was because I'd become a bitter man, a few words and a lot of booze. When someone came to visit, I barely looked them in the eye, answered with grunts, made it clear I wanted to be alone. Eventually, they stopped coming. Old man Johnson and his wife Louise still tried for a couple of years. They'd show up every now and then with some excuse, returning a borrowed tool, warning about loose cattle, bringing news from town. But I received them poorly, didn't even offer them a coffee, got impatient for them to leave. Louise always asked if I didn't want to have dinner at their house on Sunday, if I needed anything, if I wanted her to send her daughter over to clean the house. I always said no, thanks, I was fine alone. "John, you can't live like this," Louise said the last time she came here. "Mary wouldn't want to see you this way." "Mary's not here to see," I replied dryly, "and I'll live how I want." She left crying, and since then, she hasn't come back. Old man Johnson still waved a few times from afar, without stopping. Then he stopped waving too. I'd gotten what I wanted, to be alone with my pain. Champ was my only real companion. He understood my mood, without needing an explanation. When I was sadder, he walked slower. When anger took over, he sped up as if he wanted to run away with me from it all. He was a smart horse with big, gentle eyes that Mary had picked out at an auction in Tulsa years ago. "That one's got a good soul, John," she'd said, running her hand over the animal's neck. "He'll take care of us both." And he did. After she passed, it was Champ who pulled me out of bed on many mornings when I didn't see any point in getting up. It was him who forced me to leave the house, even if it was just to take a walk through the pastures, as if he knew that a man can't turn into a complete animal. There was a time, a couple of years after Mary's death, when I thought about selling everything and moving to the city, getting to Oklahoma City, buying a small apartment, living off the income. But whenever I got on Champ and rode through the property, seeing the cattle grazing, the persimmon trees loaded with fruit, the creek running gently between the rocks, I changed my mind. This land was in my blood. My grandfather died here, my father died here, Mary died here. It was here that I was going to die too. That day, I was thinking about Mary, as always. Thinking about how she laughed when she found fresh eggs in the chicken coop, about how she hummed while she cooked, about how she held my hand on the porch when we watched the sun set behind the Wichita Mountains. I also thought about how cowardly I was in her last months when cancer took over. Instead of staying by her side, I hid in the work, as if the work could protect me from the pain of seeing her wither away. The regret was a stone in my chest that I carried every day. Mary had died practically alone, with a hired nurse, while I pretended I needed to be in the pasture, taking care of a pregnant cow. When I got back to the house that night, she was already gone. I couldn't even say goodbye. I couldn't even ask for forgiveness for being so weak. "John," she'd called me on the morning of her last day. "Stay with me today. Don't go to the pasture. I have to check on Mimosa, Mary. She's about to give birth any minute. Please, stay with me." But I went anyway. Because I couldn't stand to see her fading, because I didn't know what to do with my own helplessness, because it was easier to take care of an animal than to take care of the woman I loved dying slowly in front of me. The cow gave birth fine, without complications. A male calf, strong and healthy. When I got back to the house, it was pitch dark. The nurse was crying in the kitchen. "She called you all the time, Mr. Smith," she said between sobs. "Until her last breath, she called you." And I wasn't there. I was taking care of the birth of a calf while my wife died alone, calling my name. That was the weight I carried. Not only missing her, but the guilt of having been a coward when she needed me most. The road snaked between red bluffs and dried grass. It was the end of March, the time of the last rains before the harsh drought. The sky was overcast, but I knew it was a bluff. It had been weeks since the clouds had gathered and not dropped a single drop. The parched earth was begging for water like a dying man begs for help. Champ stepped firmly on the familiar road, avoiding the biggest holes, maintaining the steady rhythm he knew I preferred. He wasn't a racehorse, but he was a reliable horse. In 30 years of partnership, he'd never thrown me, never abandoned me, never disappointed me, a rare thing among men, let alone among animals. I was distracted, lost in thought when it happened. A scream. It wasn't an animal scream. I knew all the sounds of these woods. It wasn't a startled raccoon, or a cat meowing in heat, or the bellow of an angry bull, or the whimper of a wounded dog. It was a human scream. A scream of desperation that froze my blood and made Champ stop short, his ears twitching. That sound tore through the silence of the plains like a knife. It came from somewhere near the old bridge, where the creek curved between the trees. My heart leaped. It had been years since I'd heard a human voice full of so much fear. It was a high-pitched feminine scream filled with pure terror. Champ snorted, nervous. His nostrils flared, his ears perked up, his whole body tense. He'd also sensed that something was very wrong. I spurred him gently, asking him to follow. but each step seemed heavier than the last. The wind changed direction and brought a strange smell. The smell of fear, of sweat, of something wild that I couldn't identify. For a moment, I thought about turning back. Whatever was happening up ahead wasn't my problem. I'd isolated myself from the world precisely so I wouldn't have to deal with other people's problems, so I wouldn't have to care about anything beyond my own pain. But the scream came again, weaker, more desperate. And something in my chest, something I thought had died with Mary, kept me from turning my back. Maybe it was the memory of her voice saying that I had a good heart. Maybe it was just instinct. Maybe it was God giving me one last chance to do something worthwhile in life. That's when I heard the third sound, a deep, low growl that made my spine completely freeze. A mountain lion's growl. And it wasn't far away. It was very close to where the scream had come from. Champ trembled all over, wanting to turn around and run. I also felt like running away. Mountain lions were serious business, an animal that killed adult cattle with one bite to the neck, that climbed trees like a cat and swam better than a beaver. If it was really a mountain lion, and from the sound of it was, whoever had screamed was in mortal danger. I pulled out the old 12-gauge shotgun that I always carried on the saddle. It was a weapon from my father's time, but it still worked well. I loaded both barrels with hands that trembled slightly, my heart pounding in my chest. If it was really a mountain lion, I'd need all the luck in the world not to become dinner. And if it was a mountain lion with cubs, then there was no point in praying. With each step, the fear grew. But along with it, something that I hadn't felt in 5 years also grew, the feeling that I could make a difference in someone's life. That maybe my presence in that place at that time wasn't just a coincidence. That maybe, after 5 years of being useless to everything and everyone, I could be useful to someone. The sun was starting to dip below the horizon, painting the sky blood red. The shadows grew longer, the woods darker and more menacing. The birds had stopped singing, a sign that there was a predator nearby. Even the crickets were silent. The silence was heavy, filled with danger. And up ahead, on the curve of the road that led to the old bridge, my destiny awaited me without my knowing it. A destiny that would change everything, forever. The third scream was weaker, as if the person was losing strength. My hand went clammy on the gun's handle. Champ advanced slowly, every muscle tense, his nostrils flared, sniffing the danger. I smelled the same smell he did. Iron, wet earth, and beneath everything, the heavy musk of a predator. The old bridge appeared in front of me, like an old scar on the landscape. It was a wooden construction that my father had built in the 40s, when he still dreamed of taking cattle to the other side of the property. Time had darkened the planks. The rain had rotted some beams, but it still held the weight of a man on horseback. Underneath, Willow Creek ran gently, making the sound of water over stone. It was on the curve, about 50 yards before the bridge, that I saw it. In the mud on the bank of the creek, a human figure. A young woman. She was lying on her side, motionless, her clothes torn and dirty with red clay. Her dark hair was spread on the ground like an ink stain. For a terrible second, I thought it was too late. And a few yards from her, in the shadow of a large ironwood tree, a black panther. My God in heaven, it was the biggest mountain lion I'd ever seen in my life. It must have weighed about 180 pounds. Its body muscular and sleek, its black fur shiny even in the weak light of the afternoon. She was standing still, watching, her yellow eyes fixed on the fallen girl. Her tail was swinging from side to side, slowly, like a pendulum marking the time that remained. The cat hadn't seen me yet. The wind was coming in my direction, carrying my scent away from her. But that wouldn't last long. Mountain lions have keen hearing and sharp instincts. Soon she'd know I was there. My heart was beating so hard I thought she'd hear it. My mouth went dry. My hands trembled on the gun's handle. It had been over 20 years since I'd fired a real shot, and I'd never faced a mountain lion. It was an animal that killed adult cattle with one bite to the neck. The girl moved. A low moan came from her mouth, and it was like lighting a match near gunpowder. The mountain lion tensed all over. She lowered her body, preparing to pounce. The muscles of her hind legs contracted. She was going to jump. I didn't have time to think. I raised the shotgun, aimed high so as not to hit the girl, and pulled the trigger. The blast tore through the air like thunder. The echo ran through the woods, scaring the birds, startling Champ and almost throwing me. The cloud of burnt gunpowder filled my nostrils. The mountain lion turned to me in one movement, her teeth bared, a low, menacing growl coming from her chest. For a moment that seemed eternal, we stared at each other, me in the saddle of the nervous horse, her on the ground, ready to tear me apart. The shotgun was still smoking in my hand. I loaded the second barrel, slowly, without taking my eyes off her. The metallic sound of the bolt seemed to echo through the entire forest. The mountain lion took 2 steps in my direction, testing. Champ snorted, his front hooves pawing the ground. "Get out of here, you beast!" I shouted in a voice I didn't recognize as my own. "Go away!" She stopped. She stood studying me with those burning eyes. She must have realized that I wasn't going to back down, that I was willing to fight to the end. Mountain lions are smart. She knew that a well-aimed shot could finish her. She growled once more, a final threat. Then she turned and disappeared into the woods with the agility of a shadow. In seconds, it was as if she'd never been there. All that remained was the smell of fear in the air and the sound of my own panting breath. I dismounted Champ with wobbly legs, tied him to a tree, and ran to the girl. She was alive, but barely. Her breathing was shallow and irregular. She had scratches on her face and arms, her clothes torn in several places, her body covered in mud and dry leaves. When I knelt down beside her, her eyes opened slowly. They were brown eyes, big, full of tears and terror. She looked at me uncomprehendingly, as if I were just another vision of her delirium. "Easy there, miss," I murmured, taking off my shirt and covering her. "It's over now. The critter's gone." She tried to speak, but only a hoarse whisper came out. I put my ear close to her mouth. "Water," she managed to say. I ran to the creek, scooped up water in my cupped hands, came back, and wet her lips slowly. She drank desperately, like someone who hadn't had a drink in days. After that, she seemed to regain a little consciousness. You saved me," she said in a weak voice. "Haven't saved you yet, miss. I need to get you home, give you food and medicine. Can you ride the horse?" She tried to sit up, but her body wouldn't obey. She fell back exhausted. She was weaker than I thought. She must have been there for hours, maybe since dawn. "How did you end up here?" I asked, already suspecting the story wasn't going to be good. Her eyes filled with tears. It took her a while to speak. "My stepfather," she whispered. "He brought me here and left me for the animals." I felt anger rise from the bottom of my chest like lava from a volcano. What kind of man abandons a defenseless girl in the middle of the woods to become animal food? And why did he do that? She looked away, as if the shame was worse than the fear of the mountain lion. Because I never... Her voice failed. Because I'm a virgin. Never been with anyone. He said it was a disgrace to the family, that no man would want me, so he left me here to die. The silence that fell between us was as heavy as a tombstone. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Abandon a girl to die because she was pure? What kind of crazy world was this? "How old are you?" 22. 22 years old, the same age Mary was when we got married. And this scumbag of a stepfather thought she should die because she preserved her purity. I felt like going out to find the man and teaching him what real shame was. "Listen here, miss," I said, holding her small, cold hand. "Purity was never a shame. Shame is what they did to you, and as long as I'm alive, no one will hurt you again." She cried softly, like someone crying with relief after carrying a pain alone for too long. The sun was setting and night was coming. I needed to get her home before total darkness fell on the woods, and before the mountain lion decided to come back with reinforcements. I picked the girl up in my arms. She was light as a bird, but every moan of pain that came out of her mouth was like a knife in my heart. I managed to put her in front of the saddle, held her tight so she wouldn't fall, and we headed home. During the ride, she fainted twice. I'd stop, wet her face with water from the canteen, wait for her to come to, and we'd continue. Champ, as if he understood the situation, walked with extra care, avoiding holes and stones. When we arrived at the ranch, the moon was already high in the sky. The house that for 5 years had been a silent tomb suddenly gained new life. I turned on the lights, heated water, prepared a bed in the guest room that Mary always kept ready for visitors who never came. While I took care of the girl's wounds, superficial scratches but many, she told me the whole story. Her name was Anna. She'd lost her mother at 15. Her father had remarried a bitter woman who never accepted her. When her father died 2 years ago, she became totally dependent on her stepfather. He was a cruel man who saw Anna as a burden. He wanted to get rid of her but couldn't push her onto any suitors because she refused to give herself before marriage. In his sick head, a 22-year-old girl who was still a virgin must have had some problem. Yesterday morning, he woke me up saying we were going for a ride, Anna recounted, as I cleaned a cut on her arm. He put me in the wagon and came this way. When he got near the bridge, he told me to get out. He said I was a disgrace and that he wasn't going to support a spinster anymore, that the animals of the woods would take care of me. And he left and left you? Yes. And he even laughed when I begged him to take me back. The anger I felt at that moment was different from anything I'd ever felt in my life. It was a clean, righteous anger that gave me strength instead of diminishing me. If I found that man, I'd make him pay dearly for what he did. I prepared some chicken soup, the only way I knew how to show care. Anna ate slowly, like someone who hadn't eaten in a long time. Between spoonfuls, she looked at me as if she still couldn't believe she was alive and protected. "Why did you save me?" she asked suddenly. The question caught me off guard. Why indeed? I could have fired the warning shot and left. I could have let fate run its course. Why did I risk my life for a stranger? "I don't know," I replied sincerely. I guess it had been a long time since I had the chance to do something worthwhile." She smiled for the first time since I found her. A small smile, but one that lit up her wounded face like a ray of sunshine piercing a heavy cloud. That night, while Anna slept in the guest room, I stayed in the living room thinking. For 5 years, I'd been waiting for death to come. 5 years vegetating like a living dead man. And suddenly, on any given afternoon, life had knocked on my door again, in the form of a girl abandoned by the person who should have protected her. Maybe Mary was right when she said I had a good heart. Maybe this encounter wasn't a coincidence. Maybe it was the chance I'd been waiting for without knowing it to go back to being a real human. The first step had been taken. Now it remained to discover where this road was going to lead. I woke up the next day to a sound I hadn't heard in 5 years, footsteps in the hallway of the house. For a moment, still half asleep, I thought it was Mary coming back from the kitchen with coffee. Then reality returned like a slap in the face, and I remembered the girl, Anna. I got up quickly, got dressed, and went to see how she was doing. I found her in the kitchen, stirring a pot on the wood-burning stove. She'd washed her face and combed her hair as best she could, but she was still wearing the torn clothes from the day before. "Good morning," she said without looking me in the eye. "Hope you don't mind. I found some eggs and made a scramble." "Of course I don't mind. This house is yours too, for as long as you need it." She stopped stirring the pot and faced me. "You don't even know my full name and you're offering me a home." "John Smith," I introduced myself, extending my hand. "And you're Anna." "Anna what?" "Anna Ferreira." Her hand was small and calloused, the hand of someone who worked hard. Breakfast was awkward. It had been so long since I'd eaten alone that having someone on the other side of the table seemed otherworldly. Anna ate slowly, chewing each bite as if it were the last. I kept looking without wanting to, thinking about how different she was from Mary. Mary was light-skinned, with curly hair and a talkative way. Anna was darker, straight black hair, a quiet way. But there was something similar in both. That way of looking at the world, as if they were always looking for the good side of things. "Need to go to town today," I said after a while. "Buy you some clothes, medicine for those scratches. You stay here resting. You don't need to spend money on me, Mr. Smith." "It's not spending, it's a necessity." She lowered her head. "I have no way to pay you back." "Who said anything about payment? You don't owe me anything, Anna." "Quite the contrary." She looked at me uncomprehendingly. "Quite the contrary, how?" It was hard to find the right words. "This house has been dead for 5 years. Since last night it's come back to life. I'm the one who has to thank you." I saw her eyes fill with tears, but she didn't cry. I was learning that Anna was the type who kept her emotions inside. I saddled Champ and left for Harmony Ranch. It was a 2-hour trip, and along the way, I kept thinking about the situation. What was I doing? Bringing a stranger home, offering shelter with no deadline to leave, buying her clothes as if she were family? Any sensible person would say I was crazy. But it had been so long since I'd felt useful for something that I couldn't stop. It was as if a part of me that had died with Mary had resurrected the moment I saw Anna threatened by the mountain lion. In town, I bought 3 simple dresses, underwear, a pair of shoes, ointment for wounds, and vitamins to strengthen her. At the pharmacy, old man Ben, who had known me since I was a boy, looked astonished. "Well, John, what's this story about buying women's clothes?" "I have a house guest," I replied dryly, without giving details. "House guest?" His eyes gleamed with curiosity. "What kind of house guest?" "The kind that's none of your business, Ben." He laughed, a little embarrassed. "Sorry, John, it's just that since Mary, well, you don't have anyone over to the house." It was true. After Mary died, I'd become a hermit. I didn't want visitors, I didn't want conversation, I didn't want anything that reminded me that the world kept spinning without her. On the way back, I kept imagining how Anna would react to the clothes. Mary was always happy when I brought her something from town. Would Anna like them? Had I gotten the right size? When I got home, I found Anna in the backyard, feeding the chickens. She'd found an old apron of Mary's in the closet and put it over her torn clothes. Seeing her wearing a piece of my late wife gave me a pang in my chest. But it wasn't bad. It was as if Mary had left a part of her to take care of Anna. "Brought you some things," I said, handing her the packages. Anna opened them slowly, as if it were Christmas. When she saw the dresses, her face lit up in a way that reminded me why it's worth seeing people happy. "Mr. Smith, this is too much. It must have cost a fortune." "Nonsense. You need decent clothes." She held one of the dresses against her body. It was light blue, simple but pretty. "It's been a long time since I've gotten anything new." "Since when?" "Since my mother died. 7 years. 7 years." The girl had spent 7 years wearing old patch clothes, while her stepfather probably spent money on booze and gambling. I felt the anger returning, but I controlled myself. Anna went to the room to change. When she came back, wearing the blue dress, I almost didn't believe the transformation. She looked like another person. The blue enhanced her brown eyes. Her clean, combed hair shone in the afternoon sun. She was a pretty girl, no doubt. How had no guy been interested in her? "Looks good on you," I said, a little awkwardly. She blushed. "Thank you. It's been a while since I felt good about myself." That night, after dinner, we sat on the porch talking. Anna told me more about her life. Her mother had been a seamstress, taught her all the secrets of the profession. Her father was a teamster, a hard-working man, but who died young of fever. The stepmother arrived, promising to take care of everything, but soon showed her claws. She convinced my father to give her power of attorney over all the assets, Anna recounted. When he died, I found out that there was nothing left for me. The house, the land, everything was in her name. I became a maid in my own house. And why didn't you leave? Didn't you look for work somewhere else? I tried, but she spread stories about me in town. Said I was lazy, dishonest, that I had a problem in my head. No one wanted to give me a job. It was a perfect trap. They isolated Anna from everyone, took away any chance of independence, and then blamed her for not being able to fend for herself alone. And suitors? Did no interested guys ever show up? Anna was quiet for a while. Some did, but when they found out that I wasn't going to give myself before marriage, they gave up. The stepmother said it was an old-fashioned thing, that no man was going to marry me being so prude. You did the right thing, I said firmly. A man who's worth it will wait. That's what I thought, but sometimes I doubted myself. Everyone said I was wrong. Everyone was wrong, Anna, and you know that deep down in your heart. She smiled, but it was a sad smile. Maybe, but it doesn't matter now, does it? At 22, tainted by this whole story, who's going to want me? You're not tainted by anything. You're free. For the first time in your life, you can choose your own destiny. We were silent, listening to the sound of the crickets and watching the stars appear in the sky. It was a beautiful night, the kind Mary loved. Whenever there was a night like this, she insisted we stay on the porch late, talking about everything and nothing. "Can I ask you something, Mr. Smith?" Anna said suddenly. "Sure. Do you miss your wife?" The question caught me by surprise. No one ever asked me about Mary. People avoided the subject as if it were a wound that couldn't be touched. "Every day," I replied sincerely. "Every hour of the day." "What was she like?" "Similar to you in some things. Stubborn, brave, kind, different in others. Mary was more talkative, more cheerful. You're more reserved." "What did she die of?" "Cancer. It lasted 6 months from diagnosis to the end." "Did you take care of her?" The question hit me like a punch. I lowered my head, ashamed. "Not like I should have. I ran away. I made up work on the ranch so I wouldn't have to be close seeing her wither away. When she needed me most, I was a coward." Anna reached out and touched my arm. "It wasn't cowardice. It was love. It hurts too much to see who we love suffering. It doesn't justify it. She died practically alone. I couldn't even say goodbye. But you loved her. Anyone can see that. The whole house still smells of your love." It was the first time in 5 years that someone had talked about my marriage with Mary, without pity, without sorrow, without that way of talking to someone mentally ill. Anna spoke as if it were a natural thing, even beautiful. "Why did you never get married, Anna? Really? It can't have been just because of the pressure to give yourself before." She took a while to answer. "Because I dreamed of something like what you and your wife had. I could see that you really loved each other. I didn't want to settle for less than that. How can you know that if you never saw us together? The house tells the story. The way you talk about her, her pillow that's still on the right side of the bed, the towel embroidered by her that you use every day, the picture of you two in the living room that you clean every week so it doesn't get dusty." It was scary how Anna noticed details that I thought no one noticed. "You're very observant. It's just that I've spent my whole life observing. When you don't have a voice, you learn to read the world through signs." We stayed on the porch a little longer, each lost in our own thoughts. Anna was right about the house holding memories. Every corner had a story of Mary and me, but for the first time, instead of hurting, those memories comforted me. It was as if Mary was approving of Anna's presence there. When we went to sleep, Anna stopped at the door to her room. "Mr. Smith?" "Yes." "Thank you, not just for saving me from the mountain lion. Thank you for reminding me that I'm still a person." "You've always been a person, Anna. You just forgot for a while. That night I slept better than I had in the last 5 years. I don't know if it was because the house wasn't empty anymore, if it was because there was someone to protect, or if it was simply because, for the first time since Mary died, I had done something worthwhile. But deep down, I felt that peace wouldn't last. Anna was safe for now, but what about her stepfather? What if he came back looking for her? What if he found out where she was? These were questions I didn't want to ask, but they wouldn't leave my head. The storm was still far away, but I could already smell it in the wind. A week passed like a good dream. Anna fit into the routine of the ranch as if she had always been there. She woke up early, made coffee, took care of the chickens, helped in the vegetable garden that Mary had planted and that I had left to die of neglect. It was amazing how the plants responded to her care. In a few days, tomato plants that I thought were lost began to sprout new leaves. She had golden hands for cooking too. She took the recipes that Mary had written in an old notebook and tried them one by one. Her cornbread turned out just like my late wife's. So did the sweet potato pie. It was as if Mary had left an instruction manual for whoever came after her. During the day, while I took care of the cattle, Anna stayed home sewing. She had found Mary's old machine in the sewing room and spent hours there, mending my clothes that were torn, making new dresses for herself with fabrics that were left over from my wife's time. The sound of the machine echoed through the house like a melody, filling the silence that had accompanied me for 5 years. But what impressed me the most was how Anna had transformed. The scared and hurt girl that I had brought from the bank of the creek had given way to a confident woman who smiled easily and spoke without fear. It was as if she was remembering who she really was before so many years of humiliation. "Mr. Smith?" she said one Thursday afternoon while I was fixing the fence of the pasture. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why did you never remarry? A man like you, with this whole ranch, this kindness, you must have had many opportunities." I stopped what I was doing. It was a question that I myself asked sometimes on sleepless nights. "Never found anyone who made my heart beat differently," I replied sincerely, and after a while I stopped looking. "But you're still young, 50, 60. 60 isn't old. You have a whole life ahead of you yet." I laughed without joy. "I don't feel young, Anna. I feel like a man who's already lived everything he had to live." "That's not true." She approached, stood near the fence where I was working. "Since I got here, I see you changing every day, smiling more, talking more, taking better care of yourself. It seems like you were just waiting for a reason to come back to life." Her words touched me deeply. It was true that I felt different, lighter, as if a weight that I carried on my back had lessened. "And you, Anna, what do you intend to do with your life?" She was quiet, looking at the horizon. "I don't know. For the first time in 7 years, I can choose. It's scary and liberating at the same time. You know how to sew better than any seamstress in town. You could start a business. With what money and where? Who's going to give work to a woman without family, without references?" "I will." The words came out of my mouth before I could think about them. Anna looked at me surprised. "Are you serious?" "I am. You can stay here, set up a workshop in the room that Mary used for sewing. I'll finance the material, you do the work. We'll split the profit." "Mr. Smith, that's too generous. It's not generosity, it's business. You have talent, I have space and money sitting around. It makes sense for everyone." I saw her eyes shine. For the first time since I met her, Anna was glimpsing a future that depended only on herself. "Can I think about it?" "Sure." "There's no rush." That night, Anna was restless. You could hear her walking in the room until late, probably imagining what it would be like to have her own business, to be independent, not to owe anyone a favor. I also stayed awake, but for another reason. There was a strange unease in my chest, a feeling that something bad was approaching. It was an instinct that I had developed over the years, the same one that warned me when it was going to rain, when the cattle were sick, when there was a predator prowling the property. And on Friday morning, my instinct was confirmed. I was in the pasture, counting the cattle, when I heard the sound of an engine approaching, a vehicle coming up the dirt road that led to the ranch. It wasn't the mail. They only came on Tuesdays. It wasn't a neighbor. They always warned before coming. I got on Champ and rode to a high point of the land from where you could see the road. It was an old pickup truck, faded blue, raising a cloud of dust. Inside, I could distinguish two figures, a man driving and a woman in the passenger seat. My blood ran cold. I was sure who they were. I ran down to the house. Anna was in the backyard hanging clothes on the line. When she saw me coming hurriedly, her face turned white. "What is it, Mr. Smith?" "They're coming. Your stepfather and your stepmother." I saw the pickup truck on the road. Anna dropped the clothes she was holding. The sheet fell on the ground and got dirty, but she didn't even notice. "It can't be. How did they find out where I am?" "Small town, Anna. Someone must have seen me buying women's clothes and spread the news." The sound of the engine was getting closer. Anna started to tremble. "He's going to take me back. He's going to hit me. He's going to—" Her voice failed. "He's not going to." I grabbed her by the shoulders, firm but gentle. "You're of age. No one can force you to go with him." "You don't know him, Mr. Smith. When he wants something, he doesn't give up. And if you get involved, leave it to me." The pickup truck stopped in the yard in a screeching halt. Two people got out. A man in his 50s, pot-bellied with an unfriendly face, and a thin woman with a sour face, who must have been the stepmother. They were both walking in our direction with the air of someone coming to collect a debt. "Anna!" shouted the man. "Get out of there, girl! It's time for you to come home!" Anna hid behind me, trembling. I positioned myself in front of her, blocking the way. "The girl isn't going anywhere," I said, keeping my voice calm. The man looked me up and down, evaluating. "And who are you to meddle in our family's life?" "John Smith. And this here is my property. The girl is here of her own free will." Free will?" The woman gave a dry laugh. "She doesn't have a will of her own. She's useless, a burden. You don't know who you're messing with." "Yes, I do. I'm messing with a hard-working, honest, and brave girl, something you didn't know how to recognize." The man's face turned red. "Listen here, old man. I'm responsible for this girl. She's coming with me, whether she wants to or not. She's 22 years old. She's an adult. She doesn't need anyone's permission to decide where she wants to live." "Anna!" he yelled, trying to see her behind me. "Stop this nonsense and come here. You know you have nowhere to go." Anna came out from behind me, but stayed by my side. She was pale but didn't back down. "I'm not going with you," she said in a trembling but firm voice. "Never again." "You're not?" The man took a step forward, threateningly. "You forgot that everything you have, even the clothes on your back, I gave you." "The clothes she's wearing I bought," I interrupted, "and she doesn't owe you anything. Quite the contrary." "Quite the contrary how?" "You abandoned her in the middle of the woods to die. If it weren't for me passing by at the right time, she would have become mountain lion food." The woman made a mocking face. "Mountain lion? What's this story?" "The true story. You left her on the bank of Willow Creek and went away. When I arrived, there was a black panther a few yards from her, ready to attack." "Lies," said the man, but I could see a glimpse of guilt in his eyes. "It's not lies, and you know it. You expected her to die anyway. You just didn't count on someone showing up to save her." Anna found courage and took a step forward. "You've hated me since my mother died. You've always treated me like a maid, humiliated me, spread lies about me. And when I refused to lower myself the way you wanted, you abandoned me to die. You've always been ungrateful," shouted the stepmother. "We gave you a house, food, clothes. You gave me the leftovers." Anna was growing in the discussion. "You made me work like a slave, isolated me from everyone, destroyed my reputation. And when I didn't want to prostitute myself to please you, you threw me away like garbage. The silence that followed was heavy. The stepfather looked at Anna as if he couldn't believe she had the courage to speak like that. The stepmother was trembling with rage. "You're going to regret this rebellion," said the man, his voice low and threatening. "You think this old man is going to take care of you forever? When he gets tired, you're going to come crawling back, and then I won't want to know anything about you." "I'm not going to get tired," I said firmly. "And even if I got tired, Anna is the master of her own destiny. She doesn't need me to survive." The man stared at me for a long moment. He was calculating the options, trying to decide if it was worth insisting or if it was better to give up. "Okay," he said finally, "but when this adventure ends badly, don't come crying on my shoulder." "I won't need to," replied Anna, her voice firm now. They went back to the pickup truck. Before getting in, the stepmother shouted, "You've always been a disgrace anyway. Your mother would turn over in her grave if she knew what kind of woman you turned into." "My mother would be proud of me," Anna shouted back, "because she taught me to have dignity." The pickup truck left in a cloud of dust and the noise of an irregular engine. We stood in the yard, watching them move away until they disappeared on the curve of the road. Anna broke down. She began to cry, but it wasn't a cry of sadness. It was a cry of relief, of liberation. For the first time in her life, she had faced her tormentors and come out victorious. "It's over," I murmured, putting my arm around her shoulders. "They won't bother you anymore." "Are you sure?" "I am. They saw that you're not alone anymore. And a coward like that doesn't like trouble." That night, Anna was restless. She walked around the house like a caged animal, looked out the window at every noise, startled at any sound. "They might come back," she said, while we were having dinner. "They might. But if they come back, they'll find the same answer. And if they bring other people, what if they make up some lie to hurt me?" "Anna, look at me." I waited for her to face me. "You've spent your whole life afraid. Afraid of contradicting, afraid of speaking, afraid of living. You can't live like this forever. But what if? There's no what if, there's only now, and now you're free. For the first time in your life, you can make choices without fear. Don't throw this chance away." She sighed deeply. "You're right. It's hard to believe that it can be so simple. It's not simple. Freedom is never simple, but it's possible. And you've already proven it today when you faced them." That night, for the first time since Anna arrived, I locked all the doors of the house, not because I thought they were going to come back, but because Anna needed to feel safe to be able to sleep. And lying in my bed, hearing the silence of the ranch, I realized that something had changed in me too. For 5 years, I had lived like a living dead man, waiting for time to pass. But there, protecting Anna, facing her stepfather, I had felt alive again. It was strange to discover that sometimes we need to take care of someone to remember our own worth. Anna had saved me as much as I had saved her. The difference is that it took me longer to realize. 3 days after the confrontation with the stepfather, the rain arrived. It wasn't that gentle late afternoon drizzle that refreshes the air and goes away. It was a real storm, the kind that is born on the horizon like a black wall and sweeps everything in front of it. I was in the corral, medicating a cow that had hurt its hoof, when I saw the clouds gathering in the sky. The wind changed direction, got colder, brought the smell of wet earth and electricity. The animals felt it too. The cattle gathered under the trees, the chickens ran to the henhouse, even Champ was restless in the stable. "Anna!" I shouted, running to the house. "Come help me close the windows!" She came out of the sewing room where she was working on a new skirt. In the last few days, after the unwanted visit, Anna had dedicated herself to work with an intensity that worried me. It was as if she wanted to prove to herself that she was capable of supporting herself, that she didn't depend on anyone. "It's going to be a bad storm," I said, while we locked the windows of the living room, the kind that knocks down trees and blows away roofs. "It's been a long time since I've seen a real rain," said Anna, looking through the crack in the window. "Back in town, when it rained like this, we were afraid the shack would fall down." "Shack? It's where we lived after my father died. One room only in the back of my stepmother's yard, leaky roof, cracked walls, everything damp. When it rained hard, I spent the night awake, afraid." Another revelation about the hell that Anna had lived through. Every day I discovered new details of the cruelty of those people. How had she managed to keep goodness in her heart after so much evil? The first lightning bolt cut across the sky like a sword of fire. The thunder came right after, making the whole house shake. Anna flinched, instinctively moving closer to me. "Easy," I said, putting my hand on her shoulder. "The house is solid. My dad built it to last 100 years. It's not the house I'm afraid of," she whispered. "It's just storms remind me of bad things." "What kind of things?" She hesitated, as if she didn't want to relive the memory. "The night my mother died. It was raining like this. I was 15 years old. She'd had a high fever for 3 days, delirious. My stepmother said there was no money for a doctor, that it was just a bad flu. I begged her to call for help, but she wouldn't let me." Anna stopped talking. Her eyes filled with tears, but she held back the crying. "And then? Then when the storm started, my mother got worse. She started convulsing. I ran out in the rain, barefoot, knocking on the neighbors' doors, asking for help. When I finally managed to bring someone back, it was too late. The second lightning bolt was stronger than the first. The white light flooded the room for a second, and in the thunder that followed, Anna trembled all over. Since then, every time it rains like this, I keep thinking if I couldn't have saved her, if I had been braver, more insistent. "Anna, look at me." I took her face in my hands. "You were 15 years old. You were a girl. You couldn't do more than you did. But I was all she had. If I had, you did what you could. And she knew that." The rain started slowly, thick drops that hit the roof like hailstones. Then it turned into a downpour, a curtain of water that darkened the world outside and turned the noise into a constant roar. I lit the kerosene lamp and placed it on the living room table. The dim light danced on the walls, creating shadows that moved like ghosts. Anna was sitting on the couch, huddled, looking through the crack in the window as if she expected to see something terrible approaching. "Want me to make some coffee?" I asked. "Yes." I went to the kitchen, but left the door open to keep an eye on her. Anna wasn't doing well. The storm had stirred up something deep, some wound that I didn't know. When I came back with the coffee, she hadn't left the place. She kept looking out there, her arms crossed over her chest as if she wanted to protect herself from something. "Here." I put the cup in her hand. "It'll warm you up." "Mr. Smith?" "Yes?" "If something happens to me, if I have to leave for some reason, do you promise you won't go back to living like before?" The question caught me by surprise. "Why are you talking about this?" "Just promise. Anna, you're not going to have to leave, and nothing's going to happen to you." "But what if it does? You were dead in life when I arrived. I don't want to be guilty of leaving you like that again." "You're not guilty of anything. You saved me, Anna. You made me remember that I'm still alive." A stronger lightning bolt lit up the sky, followed by a thunder that shook the windows. This time, Anna didn't just tremble. She jumped up, knocking the cup of coffee on the floor. "I can't stay here," she said, suddenly agitated. "I have to get out. Anna, it's pouring rain out there. You're going to drown." "It doesn't matter. I can't stay locked up. I can't." She ran to the front door, but I got there first and blocked the way. "Calm down. Take a deep breath. Look at me." I can't be trapped." She was panting, sweating cold. "When I'm locked in a small place, I remember. Remember what?" "The cellar." The word came out like a cry of pain. Anna collapsed on the floor, crying convulsively. I knelt down beside her, not knowing what to do. "What cellar, Anna?" "The cellar where they locked me. when I did something wrong, or when visitors arrived and they didn't want anyone to see me, my blood ran cold. They locked you in the cellar? Hours, sometimes the whole day. It was dark, full of rats, smelled of mold. I stayed there, listening to the rain hitting the roof, thinking I was going to die alone in the dark. Ooh, the anger that rose in my chest was different from anything I had ever felt. It was a cold, murderous anger. If her stepfather had been there in front of me at that moment, I wouldn't have answered for my actions. How many times? Many. Every time I contradicted them, every time I asked about my mother's inheritance, every time some guy showed interest in me. Anna. I couldn't finish the sentence. There were no words for such cruelty. That's why I can't stay locked up. That's why I need to get out. Okay, then we're going out. But it's raining. So what? We're going to the porch. There you can feel the air, see the sky, but stay protected from the rain. I grabbed a blanket, put it over her shoulders, and took Anna to the front porch. The wind brought sprinkles of rain, but we were protected by the roof. There she could breathe better. Sorry, she said, wiping away the tears. I didn't want to have a fit in front of you. Don't apologize for that. You've been through things that no one should go through. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night thinking I'm still there, in the cellar, in the dark. But you're not. You're here, with me, safe. I know. In my head, I know. But the heart takes longer to believe. We stayed on the porch, watching the storm. The rain lashed the earth with an impressive fury. The creek that passed near the house had turned into a muddy river. The lightning bolts followed one another without stopping, lighting up the night as if it were day. Mr. Smith? Yes? Why are you so good to me? Because you deserve it. My stepmother always said I didn't deserve anything good, that I was a punishment that God had sent to the family. Your stepmother was a sick woman of the soul. People like that can only see evil, because that's what they have inside their hearts. Anna snuggled in the blanket, but moved closer to me on the porch bench. Do you believe that people can change? I do. Why? Because I feel like I'm changing since I got here, like I've been reborn. And you are. The Anna who arrived here was a broken woman. The Anna of today is a whole woman. But what if I go back to being like before? What if when you're no longer close, I go back to being that scared girl? You're not going back, you know why? Because you discovered your strength. And when we discover that we're strong, we don't forget anymore. A particularly violent lightning bolt struck near the house, lighting up the entire sky for a few seconds. The thunder came immediately, so strong that it made the ground shake. Anna flinched, but didn't panic like before. It's passing, I murmured. The storm is going away. And it was true. The lightning bolts were more spaced out, the rain decreasing in intensity. The worst part was over. Mr. Smith, yes? About that proposal, about the sewing workshop. What about it? I accept. I want to try. Are you sure? I am. I need to prove to myself that I can support myself, that I can build a life with my own hands. Then we'll start tomorrow. After the rain stops, we'll go to town to buy supplies. And if it doesn't work out, it will. You have talent and determination. That's all you need. The storm continued all night, but weaker. Anna didn't want to go to sleep. She stayed on the porch with me until dawn, talking, sharing memories, exorcising ghosts. It was one of the most important nights of my life, because it was when I understood that saving Anna hadn't been just an act of kindness. It had been a necessity of my soul. When the sun rose, illuminating a world washed by the rain, Anna was sleeping on my shoulder, small, fragile, but no longer broken. For the first time in 5 years, I had someone to protect. And for the first time in much longer, I had a reason to wake up every day. The storm had passed, outside and inside both of us. The next morning dawned as clear as I rarely saw. The rain had washed the world. The green of the grass seemed more alive. The red of the earth shone in the sun. Even the air smelled different. purer, as if the storm had taken away not only the dust, but also all the bad things that were weighing on the ranch. Anna woke up on my shoulder with the first ray of sunshine touching her face. For a moment, she was confused, not understanding where she was. Then the memory of the night came back and she straightened up a little awkwardly. "Sorry, Mr. Smith, I didn't want to bother you all night." "You didn't bother me at all." And it was true. Having Anna there, trusting me, sleeping peacefully on my shoulder, had given me a peace that I hadn't felt in years. "Did you sleep well?" I did. For the first time on a stormy night, I slept well. She got up, stretched her body, looked at the wet yard where the puddles reflected the blue sky. "The world gets more beautiful after the rain, doesn't it?" "It does, as if it had been reborn." Anna looked at me in a different way. "That's what I feel too, like I've been reborn." I made coffee while Anna took a bath and changed. When she returned to the kitchen, she was wearing the green dress that I had bought, her hair tied in a ponytail, her eyes shining in a way that I hadn't seen since I met her. "Ready to go to town?" I asked. "More than ready. Anxious." The trip to Harmony Ranch was different from the others. Anna was riding pillion on Champ, talking all the time, making plans for the workshop. She wanted to buy varied fabrics, threads of various colors, buttons, ribbons, everything she needed to start the business. For the first time since I met her, she talked about the future without fear. "I'm going to make Sunday dresses for the women of the region," she said, excited, "and clothes for the children too. I know how to embroider, I know how to crochet. My mother taught me everything." "And prices? Have you thought about how you're going to charge?" "Not yet. I'm afraid to ask too much and no one will want it. But I can't work for free either. Charge fair. Good work has to be well paid." In the fabric store, Anna transformed. It was like seeing her in her element. She touched the fabrics, tested the quality, calculated footage in her head. The owner of the store, Mrs. Johnson, was impressed with her knowledge. "Girl, you understand more about fabric than many trained seamstresses," she said. "Where did you learn?" "With my mother. She was the best seamstress in Crystal Springs." "Crystal Springs? Aren't you the daughter of Benedita Ferreira?" Anna stiffened. "I was, yes ma'am. Why?" "My goodness, I knew your mother. We bought fabric from her here at the store. She was a full-handed seamstress indeed." "And you? Do you intend to follow the profession?" "I intend to, yes. I'm going to set up a workshop." "That's good. The countryside is lacking a good seamstress around here. If you're half of what your mother was, you won't lack work." The conversation with Mrs. Johnson changed something in Anna. For the first time, she was being recognized for her talent, not judged by the past. She was being seen as the daughter of a respected woman, not as the burden that her stepfather said she was. We left the store with a load of material: cotton, satin, wool fabrics, threads of all colors, needles, pins, measuring tape, paper patterns. Anna was radiant. "Mr. Smith, this must have cost a fortune." "It's an investment. You're going to pay me back with interest when the business takes off." "I will indeed, and I'm going to make a point of paying quickly." On the way back, we stopped at the house of Old Man Johnson, one of the closest neighbors. His wife Louise was in the backyard, taking care of the chickens when we arrived. "John," she shouted, coming in our direction, "it's been a while since you've appeared here." "Hi, Louise. I came to introduce you to Anna. She's going to live at my house for a while." Mrs. Johnson looked Anna up and down, curious. "Pleased to meet you, girl. Are you related to John?" "No, Mom. He took me in when I needed help." "That's good. A big house like that can't stay empty anyway." Then she turned to me. "John, I need to talk to you. Your cow, Mimosa, is in my pasture again, 3rd time this month." It was true. Since Anna had arrived, I had been kind of careless with the cattle. Too focused on her problems, I forgot about mine. "Sorry, Louise. I'll get her now." "No need. Leave her there for a few more days. But fix that fence soon, John. Loose cattle cause trouble." Anna knows how to sew, I said, changing the subject. She's going to set up a workshop at home. If you need clothes, Mrs. Johnson's eyes sparkled. Really? That's wonderful. I've needed a good seamstress for years. The one in town moved to Oklahoma City. What kind of clothes would you need? Asked Anna timidly. Oh, girl, everything. A dress to go to church, clothes for the grandchildren, pants repairs for my husband. How much do you charge? Anna looked at me, unsure. Not yet. I haven't set the prices yet. She's starting now, I explained, but the work is top quality. Her mother was known in the region. Then it's settled. Next week I'll stop by to talk. Back at the ranch, Anna could hardly contain the excitement. My first client. I haven't even started yet, and I already have guaranteed work. And you're going to have a lot more. Good news spreads quickly around these parts. We spent the rest of the day organizing the sewing room. It was a room that Mary used for embroidery, but that had been abandoned for 5 years. We cleaned the dust, arranged the fabrics on shelves, organized the threads by color. Anna even found some old patterns of Mary's and studied them carefully. Your wife did beautiful work, she commented, looking at an unfinished embroidery. She did. She said that manual work calms the heart. It's true, when I'm sewing, I forget everything. It's as if the world outside doesn't exist. In the late afternoon, Anna was already working on the first order, a simple dress for herself, made with a light green fabric that highlighted her brown eyes. I stood watching from afar, impressed with the skill of her hands. It was a natural talent, like Mary said about herself. Anna. Yes, Mr. Smith. Are you happy? She stopped sewing and looked at me. Happier than I ever thought would be possible. Then it's worth it. Worth it, Mr. Smith? These last few days have been the best of my life. For the first time, I wake up knowing that the day can bring good things. At night, we had dinner on the porch, watching the stars appear in the clear sky. Anna was quiet, but it was a different silence from the first days. It wasn't silence of fear, it was silence of contentment. What are you thinking about? I asked. About how life changes quickly. 2 weeks ago, I thought I was going to die on that creek bank. Today I'm here, with a house, food, work, dignity. It seems like a dream. It's not a dream. It's reality that you conquered with courage. Courage? She laughed softly. I thought I was the coward. A coward doesn't face a Black Panther. A coward doesn't fight a violent stepfather. A coward doesn't accept the challenge of starting life over from scratch. I only managed to do all that because you were by my side. I gave support, but the courage was yours. Always has been. Anna was silent for a while, fiddling with the hem of the dress she was sewing. Mr. Smith, can I ask a kind of personal question? Sure. Don't you feel alone sometimes? The question caught me off guard. What do you mean? It's just, I see how you take care of me, how you worry, how you pay attention to everything. It must have been like that with your wife too. And now you have someone to take care of again. But what about when I leave, when I have my own place, my independence? Won't you be alone again? It was a question that I had been avoiding asking myself. The truth is that I could no longer imagine the ranch without Anna, without the sound of the sewing machine, without the smell of food in the kitchen, without someone to talk to on the porch. You're not in a hurry to leave, are you? No, of course not. But one day, I'll have to follow my own path. When that day comes, we'll talk about it. But you didn't get angry when I asked? Why would I? Because maybe I should be more ashamed and not be planning to stay here forever. Anna, look at me. I waited for her to face me. This house is too big for one man, always has been. Even when Mary was alive, there was space left over. If you want to stay here for the rest of your life, I'll be happy. If you want to leave tomorrow, I'll understand. What matters is that you're okay. And what if I want to stay, but not as a guest? What if I want to contribute in a real way, share the expenses, be Be part of the family. My heart beat faster in my chest. What kind of family? Anna blushed, lowered her eyes. I don't know. I just know that I've never felt so at home anywhere, and that you make me feel safe. You make me feel important. You are important, Anna, more than you imagine. Important how? It was a dangerous question, because the true answer was changing with each passing day. In the beginning, Anna was a girl in danger that I had saved. Then she became a guest that I helped. Now she was turning into something that I didn't have the courage to name. Important like someone who brought life back to this house, like someone who made me remember that I still have a lot to live for. Only that? What else would you like to be? Anna didn't answer. She was quiet, sewing, but I could see that her head was working, just like mine. That night, lying in bed, I asked myself for the first time since Mary died if it was possible to love another person, if it was possible to start over, if a 60-year-old man marked by loss still had the right to dream of companionship for the rest of his life. And for the first time, the answer wasn't an automatic no, it was a maybe, a small, scared maybe, but full of hope. Outside, the crickets sang in the starry night, and in the room next door, Anna slept peacefully. For the first time in 5 years, the silence of the ranch didn't weigh on me. It soothed me, as if telling me that not everything in life has to hurt, that sometimes when we least expect it, happiness knocks on the door again. 3 weeks after the storm, Anna already had 5 orders in progress. The news that there was a good seamstress at the Smith Ranch spread quickly throughout the region. Every day, someone appeared at the door, wanting to order a dress or repair another. It was amazing to see her transformation. The timid girl that I had brought from the bank of Willow Creek had turned into a confident professional who negotiated prices, set deadlines, and talked to customers as if she had been born for it. The workshop became a hubbub of female voices every afternoon. Women who came to try on clothes and ended up staying to chat, drink coffee, and share the gossip of the region. I liked the movement. After 5 years of total silence, having voices in the house made me feel good. But I confess that sometimes I felt a twinge of jealousy when Anna spent hours talking to customers and there was hardly any time left to talk to me. That Thursday in June, I was on the porch repairing a saddle when I heard the sound of a wagon approaching. It was Old Man Ben from the pharmacy, with his wife Rosa. They were coming from the direction of Crystal Springs and always stopped here when the road was bad. "Good afternoon, John," greeted Old Man Ben, getting out of the wagon. "Can I give the animals some water?" "Sure. Make yourself at home." Mrs. Johnson got down too, a little unsteady. She was a lady of about 70, always well-dressed, but that day she seemed kind of down. "Mrs. Johnson, are you okay?" I asked. "It's just, I've been suffering from some chest pains. Shortness of breath too. Ben's taking me to the doctor in town." Anna appeared at the door of the house, attracted by the voices. When she saw Mrs. Johnson, she came running. "Are you feeling unwell?" "A little, honey, but it must just be tiredness." Anna touched the lady's forehead. "You're sweating cold, and your color isn't good." It was true. Mrs. Johnson was pale, with a grayish color that wasn't normal. "Come on in," said Anna, taking the lady's arm. "I'm going to make you some tea." "No need, dear. We're in a hurry." "No hurry at all. You can't travel in that state." Anna helped Mrs. Johnson sit in the living room and went to prepare tea. Old Man Ben stayed with me on the porch, worried. "John, she's been strange since early morning. Didn't want to eat, said she was nauseous. Now these chest pains. You did well to take her to the doctor. You can't mess with these things." When Anna came back with the tea, Mrs. Johnson was worse. She breathed with difficulty and constantly brought her hand to her chest. "Ma'am, is the pain increasing?" asked Anna, kneeling near her. "It is, honey, and it's radiating to my left arm." Anna looked at me alarmed. I also recognized the symptoms. They were the same that Mary had had on the dawn she died. It wasn't flu, it wasn't tiredness, it was something with the heart. "Old Man Ben," I shouted, "come here, quick!" He came running. "What is it?" "Your wife is having something with her heart. She can't travel by wagon. She needs to get to the hospital fast." "My God, but how? The wagon is all I have. Take my horse, it's faster." "I don't know how to ride a horse, John, and she's too weak to hold on." I looked at Champ in the stable, then at Mrs. Johnson panting in the chair, then at Anna watching me with those eyes that said everything without saying anything. "I'll take her," I decided. "John, are you sure?" "I am. Anna, get a blanket to cover her, and get my wallet from the dresser in the room." Anna ran into the house. Old Man Ben looked at me grateful and desperate at the same time. "John, I'll never forget this. Don't be silly." I saddled Champ while Anna prepared Mrs. Johnson for the trip. The lady could barely stand, but she tried not to cause more trouble than necessary. "My dear," she said to Anna, "thank you for your care. You have the heart of an angel." "You're going to be fine," replied Anna, helping to cover her with the blanket. "You'll see it's just a scare." But from the eyes of the two, I saw that neither believed in it completely. I mounted Champ with Mrs. Johnson in front, secure in my arms. Anna stood on the porch waving, but I could see the worry on her face. It wasn't just worry about Mrs. Johnson, it was worry about me too. The trip to Harmony Ranch was tense. Mrs. Johnson groaned softly, her breathing increasingly difficult. I hurried Champ as much as I could without hurting her, but it was a race against time. If it was really a heart attack, every minute made a difference. "Hold on, Mrs. Johnson," I murmured from time to time. "We're almost there." "John," she whispered halfway. "Yes? If I don't make it, take care of Ben for me. He doesn't know how to do anything alone." "You're going to take care of him personally. Don't talk nonsense." At the hospital, there was a lot of hustle and bustle. Doctor, nurse, stretcher, oxygen. They took Mrs. Johnson to a room, and I waited with Old Man Ben, who had arrived half an hour later by wagon. "How is she?" he asked, panting. "I don't know yet. They took her to examine." We waited 2 hours. 2 hours as long as 2 days, walking from one side to the other, drinking bad coffee, looking at the clock every 5 minutes. Finally, the doctor appeared. Dr. Carter, a young man I knew from the time Mary was sick. "How is she, doctor?" asked Old Man Ben and I together. "She had a heart attack. Small, but it was a heart attack. If you had taken another hour, maybe it would have been too late." Old Man Ben almost collapsed. I held him by the arm. "But she's going to be okay?" I asked. "Yes. She'll have to stay in the hospital for a few days, take medication, change some habits. But with care, she will recover completely." It was as if a weight of 1,000 pounds came off my back. Mrs. Johnson was going to be okay. I had arrived in time. "Can I see her?" asked Old Man Ben. "You can, but quickly. She needs to rest." While Old Man Ben entered the room, I stayed in the hallway thinking. If Anna hadn't noticed the seriousness of the situation, if she hadn't insisted that Mrs. Johnson sit down and rest, if I hadn't decided to take her on the horse, the story could have been very different. Anna. Suddenly I felt a strange longing for her, a desire to see her, to tell her that everything had worked out, to thank her for the sensitivity that had perhaps saved a life. I returned home in the early evening, tired but relieved. Anna was on the porch waiting for me, and when she saw me arriving, she ran to the yard. "How is she?" she asked even before I dismounted. "She's going to be okay. It was a heart attack, but small. The doctor said we arrived in time." Anna closed her eyes with relief. "Thank God." When I saw her condition, I was afraid. It was you who realized the gravity. If you hadn't insisted that she rest, she would have left and, well, maybe she wouldn't have arrived alive in town. I just did what anyone would do. No, Anna, you did what a special person does. You saved her life. That night, during dinner, Anna was quiet, thoughtful. She played with the food more than she ate, looked at me as if she wanted to say something but didn't know how. "What is it?" I asked finally. Mr. Smith, when you left with her on the horse, I was afraid. Afraid of her dying on the way. No, afraid of you not coming back. The sincerity of the answer caught me off guard. Why wouldn't I come back? I don't know. I know it doesn't make sense. But when I saw you moving away on the road, I felt a despair. As if I was going to be alone forever. Anna, let me finish. She raised her eyes to me, determined. Today I realize something. I'm not here just because I need shelter. I'm not here just because you saved me from the mountain lion. I'm here because I can't imagine my life away from you. The silence that followed was heavy. Not a bad silence, but a silence pregnant with possibilities. Anna, you know I'm much older than you. 25 years. It's not the end of the world. I'm a widower with heavy baggage, and I'm a woman who was abandoned to die. Everyone has heavy baggage. What if people talk? What if they say you're with me for interest? What interest? You're not rich. You're not powerful. The people who know that you're a good man, hardworking, honest, and the people who don't know, well, those don't matter. I got up from the table, went to the window. Outside, the night was calm, full of stars, the kind of night that Mary loved. Anna, when Mary died, I thought I would never feel anything for anyone again, that part of me had died with her. And now I don't know anymore. You've stirred me in a way I didn't expect. You've made me feel alive again. Anna approached, stood by me at the window. Do you think your wife would be angry? With what? With you being happy again? With you loving another person? I thought about the question. In fact, it was a question that I had been asking myself every night for weeks. No, Mary always said that she wanted me to be happy, even after she was gone. She said that true love isn't possessive. It doesn't hold people back even in death. Then why do you hesitate so much? Because I'm afraid of not being the man you deserve. I'm afraid of being too old, too tired, too hurt to start over. Anna took my hand. It was small and calloused from work, but warm and firm. Mr. Smith, you met me broken, humiliated, without hope. And even so, you took me in, you protected me, you helped me rebuild myself. If that's not the mark of a good man, I don't know what is. Anna, I love you. The words came out simple like that, without embellishment, without drama, but the impact was like a lightning bolt hitting my chest. I love you, she repeated, looking me in the eye without fear. It's not gratitude, it's not dependence, it's love. The kind that my mother said I would recognize when I found it. Are you sure? Absolutely. And you? What do you feel for me? The question that I had been avoiding for weeks. The answer that I knew but was afraid to admit. I love you too, Anna. More than I should. More than is sensible. She smiled, the most beautiful smile I had ever seen in my life. Then why are we wasting time with conversation? And she kissed me, a sweet, lingering kiss, full of promise. A kiss that sealed our destiny right there. When we moved away, I realized that I was crying, tears of relief, of gratitude, of pure happiness. Anna, are you really sure? Won't you regret getting tied to an old man? Mr. Smith, you may have 60 years in your body, but you have the heart of a passionate young man, and it's with the heart that I fell in love. That night, we stayed on the porch late, talking about the future, about what our wedding would be like, about the children that might not come but that we could adopt, about Anna's workshop that would grow and maybe become the biggest seamstress in the region, about the ranch that would return to being a real home. When we went to sleep, Anna stopped at the door to her room. Mr. Smith? Yes? Thank you for finding me on that road. Thank you for saving me from myself. And for the first time in 5 years, I fell asleep with a peaceful heart, knowing that the next day I would have someone to wake up with, someone to share coffee, conversation, silence, life. Mary was right when she said that true love never dies. It only transforms, renews itself, finds new ways to exist. And sometimes When we least expect it, it knocks on the door again. 6 months later, on a warm and clear December morning, I was on the porch of the house watching Anna in the backyard picking tomatoes from the garden. She was wearing a yellow dress that she had sewn herself, her hair tied in a loose bun, humming softly as she worked. The sound of the sewing machine came from inside the house. She had taught Carmelita, a girl from the area, to work with her, and now the workshop functioned almost on its own. It was amazing how life could change in so little time. The ranch that for 5 years had been a cemetery of dead dreams was now teeming with life. Chickens scratched freely in the backyard. The garden produced more vegetables than we could eat, and the house always had people. Workshop customers, neighbors who came to visit, children from the area who appeared to play in the yard. Anna and I had married in a simple ceremony at the courthouse in Harmony Ranch, with only 2 witnesses, Old Man Ben and Mrs. Johnson, who had completely recovered from the heart attack and made a point of telling everyone that she owed her life to our initiative. The party was right here at the ranch, with a barbecue in the backyard, banjo music from Old Joe and lots of good people. There was no honeymoon in an exotic place. Our honeymoon was right here, taking care of the land, working together, discovering the small rituals of marriage. Anna woke up before me to make coffee. I brought her coffee in bed every Sunday. She sewed while I read old newspapers. I helped her choose fabrics for the most difficult dresses. It was a happiness different from the one I had had with Mary. With Mary, it was young passion, burning love that burned strongly. With Anna, it was mature, serene love which warmed without burning. Both loves were true, each in its own way, each in its own time. "John!" Anna shouted from the backyard. "Come see this!" I got up from the rocking chair that she had bought for me. She said that a 60-year-old man needed a comfortable chair to rest, and went to see what she wanted. "What is it?" "Look!" She pointed to one of the chickens. Benedita laid a double yolk egg, 2 in 1 shell. I laughed at her excitement. Anna got excited about the simplest things in country life. Double yolk egg, cornstalk that gave a fat ear, calf that was born without needing help. Everything was a reason for celebration. "It's a good sign," I said. "A double yolk egg brings luck. Then we already have too much luck. I don't know where we're going to store more." It was true. In recent months, everything had gone right. The workshop grew every month. The cattle were fat and healthy. The corn harvest had been the best in years. It was as if our happiness infected even the land. Anna carefully put the egg in the basket and came closer to me. Even after 6 months of marriage, my heart still sped up when she approached like that, with that affectionate way of someone who likes to be close. "John, I need to tell you something. You can tell me. This morning, when I went to town to get thread, I met a woman in the square, a young woman with a little child in her arms. She was crying, asking for help. What kind of help? Her husband died in a work accident last month. She was left without a house, without income, without family to help. She was sleeping in the square with the boy." I already imagined where Anna wanted to go with that story, and I already knew what my answer was going to be. And then I brought her here. She's inside taking a bath. Her name is Sonia. The boy is Pedro. He's 2 years old. I thought they could stay here for a few days until she gets organized. Anna looked at me with those eyes full of hope, mixed with apprehension, as if she thought I was going to argue with her for bringing strangers into the house. "Anna, this house is yours as much as mine. You don't need to ask permission to help those in need." Her face lit up. "Then you don't mind?" "Mind what? That's how we met. You in a difficult situation, me helping you. Now it's you helping someone else. It's the cycle of life." Anna hugged me tight, as she always did when she got emotional. "I knew you would understand. When I saw that woman there, with the child in her arms, I could only think of how lost I felt when my stepfather abandoned me. You did well. And if she wants to stay longer, she can stay. Big house, plenty of work in the workshop. Actually, She knows how to sew too. She learned from her mother like me. We could train her to work with us. Then it's decided. Dear, we spent the rest of the morning organizing the guest room for Sonia and her son. It was the same room where Anna had stayed in the first few days, and that since then had received needy people who appeared here. It became a tradition in the region. Whoever had nowhere to go went to the Smith Ranch. Anna never left anyone without help. At lunchtime, I met Sonia properly. She was a woman in her mid-20s, too thin, with a face that looked like she hadn't slept well in a long time. The boy was a darling, all curious, messing with everything. He soon became attached to Anna, who had a special way with children. "Mrs. Smith told me that you've let me stay here for a few days," said Sonia timidly. "I thank you very much. I promise I won't cause trouble." "Don't promise that," I replied. "Everyone causes trouble. It's part of family life." "Family? That's how it works here. Whoever enters this house becomes family." I saw her eyes fill with tears. "It's been a long time since I heard that word." "Then you'll hear it a lot from now on." In the afternoon, while Anna taught Sonia how to use the sewing machine, I stayed on the porch playing with Pedro. The boy was smart, spoke well for his age, and had lively eyes that reminded me of myself as a child. "Mr. Smith," he shouted, running after the chickens. "They fly." "They do fly, but a little. They're too heavy to fly high." "Why are they heavy?" "Because they eat a lot of corn." "I eat a lot of corn too. Am I going to get heavy?" I laughed at his logic. "You're going to get strong. It's different." I kept thinking about how good it was to have a child in the house again. Mary and I never had children. She had lost 3 pregnancies. And after that, the doctor said it was better not to try anymore. It was one of the sadnesses of our life. But we conformed. Now, seeing Pedro running around the yard, I felt that maybe life was giving me a second chance to be a father, even if only borrowed. "Anna," I called when she came out of the sewing room. "Yes? What if they stayed for good? Sonia and the boy." "What do you mean?" "Like family. We adopt the boy, help Sonia start her life over, stay all together here on the ranch." Anna stopped what she was doing and looked at me. "Are you serious?" "I am. The house is too big for just the 2 of us. And that boy needs a father." "John, you know that changes everything, right? It becomes responsibility for the rest of your life." "I know, and I want that responsibility." Anna came to me, sat on the arm of the rocking chair. "Why are you like this?" "Like what?" "Like this. Good. Always willing to help. Always opening the house, the heart. Even after everything you've suffered." I thought about her question. It was a question that I myself ask sometimes. I think suffering can do 2 things to us. It can leave us bitter, closed off, angry at the world, or it can make us more sensitive to the pain of others. With me, it was the second. And with me too. That's why we understand each other so well. That's why, and because you saved me from becoming a bitter man. You saved me first. No, Anna, we saved each other together. One saved the other at the same time. That night, after Sonia put Pedro to sleep, the 4 of us stayed on the porch talking. Sonia told her story. She had married young to a hard-working guy. They lived well until the accident that killed him. After that, her husband's family kicked her out of the house, said she was too young to be an honest widow. "It's amazing how there are cruel people in the world," commented Anna. "There are," I agreed, "but there are also good people. You just have to look right." "What if we hadn't found you?" asked Sonia. "You would have found another good person, or another good person would have found you. These things don't happen by chance." "Do you really believe that?" "I do. I believe that the right people appear in our lives at the right time. It may take a while, it may be in a way we don't expect, but they appear." Anna took my hand. "It was like that with us." "It was, and now it's like that with you." Sonia was silent for a while, looking at the stars. "You are angels," she said finally. "We're not," laughed Anna. "We're just people who one day needed help too." And who discovered that helping others is a way to help yourself, I completed. 2 weeks after, Sonia was already integrated into the workshop. She was a skilled seamstress, had new ideas, and the customers liked her. Pedro became the terror of the ranch. He climbed trees, chased cats, made friends with everyone who appeared. I had never had so much fun in my life. One afternoon, I was teaching him to ride Champ when Anna came running from the workshop. John, come see this." "What is it now? More double yolk eggs. Better. Letter." "Letter from who?" "From the state government. It just arrived with the mail." I took the letter from her hands, kind of suspicious. Correspondence from the government was never a good thing. I opened it slowly, read it once, then read it again to make sure I was understanding correctly. "And then?" asked Anna, impatient. "They want to turn the ranch into a professional training center." "How?" "Here, look." I showed her the paper. "They found out about the workshop, about how you're training other women to sew. They want to make an agreement. The government sends material and pays salary for instructors. You are responsible for teaching sewing to women in the region who need a profession." Anna's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "I am. And look, they offer to renovate the house, build classrooms, buy new machines, all paid for by the government. My God in heaven, it means that your dream of having a big workshop has come true, and that we will be able to help a lot more people than we imagined." Anna started to cry, tears of pure joy, the kind that only comes when life surprises us with something better than we dreamed. "Anna, are you okay?" "I'm more than okay. I'm scared of so much happiness." "Why?" "Because I'm afraid of waking up and discovering that it's all a dream." I took her face in my hands, looked deep into the brown eyes that made me learn to love again. "It's not a dream, Anna. It's life, our life, and it deserves to be this good." "Really? Really? We've been through too much to not deserve happiness." That night, lying in bed, we talked about the project until late. Anna was excited, making plans, imagining how many women could be helped. I was excited seeing her excited. "John? Thank you." "For what?" "For finding me on that road, for saving me from the mountain lion, for taking me in when I had nothing, for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." "Anna, let me finish. Thank you for teaching me that love can come again even when we think it's over. Thank you for showing me that it's worth being good, even when the world is cruel. Thank you for giving me a real family." I got emotional. After 60 years lived, I was still capable of getting emotional with the simplicity of true love. I'm the one who has to thank you for taking me out of the darkness, for teaching me that it's never too late to start over, for bringing life to this dead house. We saved each other together. Yes, we saved each other together. Outside, the crickets sang in the starry night. Pedro slept in the room next door, breathing small and peacefully. Sonia sewed in the workshop, preparing an order for the next day. The ranch breathed life, hope, future. I thought of Mary, as I always thought before sleeping. But this time, it wasn't with painful longing. It was with gratitude. Gratitude for teaching me to love. Gratitude for letting me free to love again. Gratitude for being at peace with my new happiness. Anna fell asleep snuggled on my chest, and I stayed awake a little longer, just feeling the miracle of not being alone anymore. Of having found, on a dusty road in the sticks of Oklahoma, at the time I least expected, the second chance that everyone deserves, but not everyone has. Sometimes I think that life is made of encounters, casual encounters that change everything. Anna met me when she was about to die. I met her when I was dead in life. Sonia met us when she had nowhere else to go. And all these encounters happened because at some point someone chose to stop, look, extend their hand, chose to see the human being before seeing the problem, chose love instead of fear. That's what makes the difference in the world. It's not the big gestures, the great words, the great deeds. It's the simple choice of being human with another human being. To share what you have, to offer shelter when it rains, to believe that everyone deserves a second chance. Anna was right when she said that we saved each other together, because that's how it works. No one saves themselves alone. We save ourselves together, one taking care of the other, one pulling the other up when needed. And when we learn that, when we understand that our happiness is linked to the happiness of others, then yes, life makes sense. Then yes, it's worth having lived 60 years to discover that there was still a lot of love to give. Love never ends. It only transforms. And sometimes, when we think it's over, when we think there's nothing left, it appears again. On a dirt road, in the middle of a storm, in the cry of a woman threatened by a mountain lion, and it changes everything, forever. There are encounters that save. There are people who arrive when hope is gone and light a new light in the dark. They are not angels. They are not saints. They are just human beings who chose to be good in a world that sometimes forgets goodness. And that choice, small as it seems, has the power to transform destinies, change lives, make hearts that were thought to be dead reborn. Because in the end, we are all just lost people looking for other lost people so we don't get lost together. And when we find each other, when we recognize each other, when we decide to walk side by side, then we discover what life is for: to love, to care, to build a better world together, one person at a time.